I'm not really liking what I'm seeing as the industry continues to shrink and like these big giant fucking gaming giants and tech giants just start snapping up corporations. I mean, like it was one thing when they were buying developers. Activision ain't no developer. That's a whole publisher and a huge one at that. They make a lot of games that make a lot of money. Call of Duty, setting GTA aside because that motherfucker come out once every 15 years. Call of Duty is like the biggest fucking console franchise there is. It sells, even when it sells like shit, it outsells your favorite franchise. I'll guarantee you. That's insane. And they do it every fucking year. That studio is huge, and Microsoft was like, give me that. So I'm not comfortable with that. I'm just not. Like, I understand, like, I would love, I'm happy if they get Kodak out of there, that's cool. But overall, I'm uncomfortable with the way things are going. Rakeem, how do you feel about this?
Be honest, it's almost like a terrifying time to be a gamer because we're watching companies that we loved being acquired and moved as assets. And there's no way in the long term this isn't going to have an effect on some of our franchises. This will have an effect on like maybe the quality of the games that come out, the direction the game's going. Because once a company is acquired, depending on the culture of the company they go into, they might think of an entirely different direction for that series or that company. Not to mention like we're already witnessing things like in other industries, like with the Discovery merger with WB, and how like shows are being cut off,
You said a word.
games are being the games are probably getting are they're talking about now right now with WB trying to sell off their games division. Although it's probably the
Again.
third or fourth time trying to sell it off. To be honest, they've been trying to get rid of that thing for a long time. They didn't want it in the first place. Um, so for me, I'm I have a sense of trepidation because on one hand, with the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, as a fan of some Blizzard games and being a friend of like Overwatch and Diablo, the stain that that news came out about all the issues they've been having in the workplace really hurt me. Because I fell in love with Overwatch. I fell in love with Diablo when I was in my college years, and those are franchises that are dear to me. But at the same time, you can't quite enjoy things the same way while you're playing them when you know behind the scenes workers are being mistreated or the company's culture is messed up. And we're seeing that kind of overlap into the games now. Like Overwatch 2's development has been rocky. They've lost leadership. They've lost confidence in their player base. And when you lose confidence in your player base, where even the diehard Blizzard fans aren't defending them anymore, um, that right there already left a bad taste in my mouth. The acquisition was like this weird sense of false hope that things may be changing for the better, and then it sets in that this is happening everywhere. Sony's buying studios, Microsoft's buying studios. When they bought Bethesda last year, even though I think the news had kind of I don't know if some news already broke it earlier, I was kind of shocked because it never dawned on me in my mind, even with all the negative stuff, that Bethesda would be a publisher that be bought out by a bigger entity because they've been such a juggernaut of the industry for so long. That's like seeing freaking Burger King get bought by McDonald's.
Mhm.
Shit.
That's like that. That's like something you just didn't think you'd see in their lifetime. But I think we have to realize that things in gaming are probably going to change as far as like these acquisitions, and we have to be scared of any company we really like, especially independent companies that do well. We have to be prepared that those companies could be acquired. There's already been news lately that FromSoft might be in the process of being acquired by another company.
Mhm.
Whether that's true or not, we don't know. But obviously, with the success of Elden Ring, they've become quite popular and way more enticing for people to kind of want to acquire them into their banner. And the only thing I fear is that developers might lose jobs in cases, when they're acquired by other companies. The games we love, some things might change about them. They might get caught up into the thralls in the industry, the microtransactions, the DLC BS, and that's things I'm kind of worried about. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Like I'm always have this sense of trepidation. Um, there was there's a slight sense of hopefulness, but at the same time, I kind of feel like things are going to change, and I think we're not going to like where they're going to be headed in the future.
I absolutely concur with a lot of like damn near everything you just said. One thing I want to point out, and you did kind of hint around, is that Bethesda did make a few mistakes. Like they had a couple of games that didn't sell well, and that's a big problem in the modern industry. Like games that cost so much to make. Like if y'all when y'all hear me talk about it, I bang that drum a lot in the Discord. I bang that drum a lot when me and Keem talk in real life. Like we talk about this a lot. I'll talk about how expensive games are, and like they have to hit now.
Yeah.
A few fuck ups, and that's it. That's your ass, Mr. Postman. Like it don't take much. Like I remember, I don't know if y'all remember, around a couple of years ago, Bethesda had that Save Player One thing where they were
Yeah.
trying to like talk about the importance of like single player games, and then the following year, all of a sudden they were hyping up all these multiplayer experiences because that's where the money's at. And they had all it took was just a few games. Those games weren't even bad. Like most of Bethesda's output over the last few years have not been bad. It's been good. A few middling games, you know. Of course, they had Fallout 76, which they fixed eventually. But like most of their games have been good to great, and yet they just didn't perform well. And that was all it took for this giant publisher to be like, look, we in the market. Like anybody willing to buy us, come pick us up, bro. Like we need help. And it's gonna be a lot of that. Like Keem said, like this is not going away. This is the future now. Like I remember seeing this thread on Twitter. I think Shinobi 602 did it, and it was this long list of developers, and it was like, look at all these. You concerned about acquisitions? Look at all these new developers, and I'm like, do you know how expensive games are? It would take nothing for Sony to look at one of these game studios and be like, we like what you're doing. How would you like to be bought? And unless that studio has a specific mindset of no, we want to remain independent, they'll probably say yes. And not just Sony. I don't want to seem like I'm trying to be a console fanboy. I know how weirdos are. Like Microsoft, NetEase is out there. Like people don't think about that. Like all those big studios, like all those big different companies from other countries and shit, like that are trying to buy up studios and buy up talent. Like NetEase, I believe, are the ones that bought up well not bought, but like they hired away the creator of Yakuza. Am I wrong, Will?
I think
It
you're
was
right
10
about that, if I remember correctly.
Is it
yeah.
No, was it Tencent or NetEase?
I want to say that was Tencent that did that. They got him and a good bit of that team out of Sega, and he's gone with them now. They're still planning the Yakuza 8, but
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. So like, but you see how quickly that shit happens. Like people with big pocketbooks will come along, and it's like, yeah, we're working on a game, and we really want to get this game made. And I mean, like, instead of going around begging for venture capital and shit like that, you can just have somebody say, like, look, bro, like, we'll buy your studio, and you ain't gotta worry about that no more. And that's the end of that independent studio. Like, unless they have the mindset of that, so it's not going away. Just like Keem said. And I will say about FromSoft before I move on and ask Will how he feels about this whole thing. Uh, FromSoft is not independent. It's owned by Katakawa. And FromSoft might have been cheap a few years ago, prior to Bloodborne, really. But like post Bloodborne, post Sekiro, and certainly post Elden Ring, it ain't what it used to be. Like you'd have to talk it out with Katakawa and be like, how much money would it take to buy this? So I'm not as concerned. Stranger things have happened. We are currently discussing a Stranger Thing that did happen in Activision being bought. But I would be surprised if From Software sold just because Kadokawa was probably like, nah, this motherfucker making us money and it's gonna keep making us money. So Will, how do you feel about Activision being bought?
well, for ActiBliz, Blizzard, Vision, whatever you want to call them, for them being bought, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I sit back and I look at it, I'm like, that's a lot of stuff that just went to Microsoft's way. I'm not gonna lie to you, because I had to actually look up how much they spent because I wanted to see. And you said around 69 billion. Yeah, that's
I
about
believe I said
right.
that, yeah.
And yeah, and I looked at a list of the things that could be there. We know the obvious being Call of Duty and a couple other things, but then someone was like in that article they were mentioning like maybe they could do something with these properties. Like we know that they just had Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 come out, and then there's also them having Crash Bandicoot, or hell, maybe even something as obscure as Pitfall, because that's an Activision property, you
Oh,
know. And when
man.
I and when
Wow.
I and when I looked at that, I'm just like, man, that's, I'm not gonna lie. While I like the sound of some of this, I'm like, this is a lot of hopeful thinking that they could probably take these things and represent them to the world. And I wouldn't mind that as someone on the outside looking in, not really being a business type of guy. But I had to ask myself, can they take stuff such as Tony Hawk? Can they take things such as Spyro, Crash, Pitfall, and so on and so forth and do it? The only thing I see them probably changing is Call of Duty. And I think the biggest thing that come out of that is spacing it out further instead of making it be such a every year type thing. We know Call of Duty gonna sell at any given moment. This is coming from me knowing, playing, and working at a GameStop. We know it's gonna sell. But I just think that, like Keem said, we're gonna see a lot more of these companies kind of get sucked up. And I don't know what's gonna happen to a lot of those properties. It makes you wonder, is something you love gonna disappear soon? Like it makes you wonder, man. Like, is something you love gonna leave? Is something you love gonna get reintroduced by a new team? Or, have some extra people thrown in to try to make it more than what it is or less than what it is? Are we gonna continue to see these games anymore? Like, are they just gonna kind of die off? It makes you wonder.
I definitely agree. Now, I will say, I will give another positive. We can look on the positive side for a second.
Sure.
One thing I heard, and y'all might have heard this too, is that Microsoft ain't really interested in an annual Call of Duty.
Okay.
Like, they've talked about, like, yeah, we kind of they don't need it. They have Halo, they have Gears, they have shooter franchises, and they, like, at this point, they have a massive stable of IPs that they can rely on. So they don't need annual Call of Duty, and we could see perhaps a biannual Call of Duty, every 2 years or something like that. And that would give Activision the space to maybe take some of them fucking developers off of Call of Duty and let them go back to, like, Raven Software used to make some pretty cool shit. Like, didn't Raven Software make Ultimate Alliance?
I think Ravensoft did that. They did a shooter back in the day that was different from Call of Duty called Singularity on the PS3. Because I played that and I love Singularity, man. That was a great one. And they did a few more things. I know they touched a few RPG type games though. I know they've done that.
Yeah, I believe that was them that was responsible for, like, the X-Men Legends and the Ultimate Alliance and whatnot. And then also High Moon Studios. Like, High Moon Studios did a pair of amazing Transformers games. And I'm still pissed about that. I'm going to come back to that in a second when we move on to the next topic. What's up, Keith?
Oh, by the way, I had to double check and confirm it was NetEase that acquired the Yakuza developer.
Okay.
It was NetEase.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. That clarification.
Keeping us honest. I appreciate y'all. That's what's up.
I appreciate you.
Do the research. But yeah, I mean, like, that's just the thing. Like, it could perhaps free some of those developers and allow them to work on something that isn't fucking COD. Because, like, it's wild looking at, like, trailers for COD. Even though I don't play COD, I do watch a lot of Warzone. It's kind of fun in a way. But, like, I don't play COD, but I see the trailers, keeping up with the industry, and it should just say Call of Duty Studios. And it's like, hell, that's just Activision at this point. So hopefully in the near future, like, if it does go through, Microsoft can be like, all right, we don't need that much COD. Let's reel it on in and do something else.